she asked me. But 6 years later, I would actually not even 6 years, 4 years later, I finally get to the next stage of actually attending. Actually, I wasn't even attending. I was doing a replay and I wasn't even watching it. I was listening to the replay of the paradigm shift, which would have been the October 2018 paradigm shift. And I was listening to it in November. So pretty much almost 2 years ago. I was listening to the replay of it, and Bob was preaching something so hard, as we know, like he was almost yelling through the phone, and I had tears streaming out my eyes. I was going to say out of my face, on my face. And I was like, "What the hell's going on?" Like, and it was a real positive cry too. And second time as an adult that I remember crying. The first time was that breakdown that I mentioned, and I went, "What is going on?" And in my mind, I heard, "Oh my God," literally these words, "Oh my God, you are going to be successful this time." And what that meant for me is I was 43 at the time. And what that meant for me is that I had this emotional impact. Bob talks about there's only three ways to change. There's only three ways to change any paradigm or any, you just want to call them habit in your subconscious mind. The first way is auto-suggestion or affirmation, daily spaced repetition. That's what we train people in. The second one is an emotional impact. That could be something like 9/11. It could be something like I mentioned with having a big financial upheaval, not being able to figure out how the hell to get yourself out of it. And it could also be via hypnosis. And so for me, that was the emotional impact that I really needed, because for probably 20 something years, I was in a constant cycle of self-sabotage. In other words, every time I'd reach a certain level of success, and I've had some great success, I would find a way to fuck it up. Excuse me swearing again. But I would find a way to stuff it up. And I could never understand. You know, Bob talks, and if you've done it, if you're doing TIR, lesson 2, the knowing doing gap, you know, you think to yourself, and you probably heard Bob say this, he tells this story all the time. And I remember the first time I heard Bob repeating a lot of these stories, thinking, how many times am I going to have to hear that story? As many as you need, as many as you need. And he said, you know, all throughout life, he would do something wrong, and someone would say, why did you do that? And he'd say, I don't know. And they'd say, but you know better. He said, yeah, I know. Well, why did you do it? I don't know. And it's like, I was like, yeah, that's what used to happen to me. I would do something stupid, and then I would go, why did I do that? Like, I know better. I can't believe I did that. I don't know if any of you have that that feeling, but it's so freaking frustrating. Anyway, TIR, getting me to here. I don't want to take up too much time because there's so many stories I can tell you. You know how much I love this information.
Oh, yeah.
So how did I get here? So when I had that breakthrough moment, and I said, and I heard I'm going to be successful this time, I went, okay, well, I've got to do more than just watching YouTube and listening, like attending a virtual event for Bob Proctor with the Paradigm Shift, or reading books that I've got on my shelf. In fact, I wasn't reading books. I had hundreds of personal development books, and they all had bookmarks in them, which were less than a chapter through. And if anyone can relate to that, that's why we call it shelf help. And I thought, I've got to do more. I've got to invest in one of these programs that Bob keeps talking about, you know. And so I went through the process. It's a long-winded story, so I won't give it to you. But I went through the process, and finally, thankfully, someone introduced me to Mariko Fujimura, who is an amazing PGI consultant, one of the top inner circle ones. And someone introduced me to her, and I got on a call, and she said, you know, I'd be happy to work with you. Can I have your credit card details? And I nearly choked. And I was like, yeah, about that. And so anyway, but you know what? She taught me how to make a better decision, because I said, can you give me a couple of days? I don't know if you can relate to that. Give me a couple of days to think about it. She said, no, I'm not giving you a couple of days. I was like, what do you mean? Probably said it in the high-pitched voice. What do you mean? And she said, you haven't made a decision. You've got to make a decision. And I said, well, you just asked me for my credit card. I don't have the money. I don't have the money to get started. And she said, that's not how we make decisions. Do you want to learn how to make a better decision? I said, sure. Do you mind me telling you this story?
Yes.
You do mind, or you want to?
Oh, no, tell it. Yeah, tell us the whole story.
Okay, so Mariko said, do you want to learn? And I said, yes. Tell me how to make a better decision. Now, this decision, this lesson she taught me, I haven't probably told her this, but I will next time I see her. This lesson, and obviously she got taught it by Bob or Doug or someone, or Rash maybe, and it is a brilliant lesson. And if you get it, and I'll give you even more context to reinforce it for you, and I'll tell you more about this particular lesson, and not just from what Mariko told me. Anyway, she said, we're brought up in life being making decisions based on whether we think we can, whether we've got the knowledge, whether we've got the know-how, more importantly, whether we have the money to do it, if there's an investment. And we usually will either take too long to make a decision, or we won't even make a decision. We'll just procrastinate and just forget about it, and just won't get no, it's just too hard. Or what happens is we make a decision, and what do? We change our mind, or we say, oh, no, it's getting a bit hard, it's getting a bit tough. So anyway, she didn't teach me that bit, but the bit she did teach me is, she said, just make the decision that you want to. Do you want to work with me or not? You won't hurt my feelings. Do you want to work with me? And I said, well, yeah, I do. I really do. I knew as soon as I got on the call with her, I thought, this is a person I need to work with. And by the way, I had some contrast to reflect to, because I had someone else that I felt like was trying to sell me into, doing something. And I was like, it was really grating me, because I've been in sales for years. I know the tactics and I hate tactics. Yeah. I prefer people just to be upfront and honest. And that's how we operate. And anyway, so she said, just make the decision. Just make the decision. Do you want to do it or not? I said, well, yes, I do. She goes, good. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to read chapter 3 in the book I know you've got called Think and Grow Rich, chapter 3 on faith. I want you to read that chapter 2 times over the next couple of days, and I want you to write out an affirmation that something like, you're so happy and grateful now that you're working with Mariko Fujimura, doing the Thinking into Results program, and there's more to it. But anyway, you get the idea. So I was like, oh, okay, that's what I got to do. And she said, in 2 days' time, you'll have a deposit, or you'll pay for it, and we'll get started. I was like, gosh, she's got confidence in me. That's great. So I bought what she was selling, and she sent me the contract. I signed the contract without knowing how I was going to pay for it. 2 days later, no exaggeration, 2 days later, someone came to me. Now, I'm going to premise with you how powerful this is, how powerful decision is. I had no money. Not that I didn't have a job, I had money coming in, but I was just covering bills. I don't know about you, but I was the type of person that would be buying things before I even had money in my account. So I was always in the red, no, black, I don't know. I was in one of those colors.
Yeah.
I was in one of those colors where you're chasing your tail, right? So it's not that I wasn't earning money, not that I didn't have a job. I was doing okay, but I certainly had no savings. I certainly had no way of borrowing, because previous to that, I mentioned about the big financial upheaval, I had gone bankrupt at a point. I had really bad credit. And more important than that, I did not want to ask anyone to borrow any money, because I felt like a shitty investment. And I was worried that I wouldn't be able to pay it back. Am I going to pay it back? So the point is that when I made that decision and I did that, 2 days later, someone came to me and said, hey, I noticed you're doing a lot of really good stuff. I see a lot of your posts. What are you doing? It's like, this is what I've been doing. This is what I'm working towards. And I'm just waiting to manifest some money to get started on this particular program. And they said, oh, how much is it? I told them, and they said, if I gave you the money, would you pay it back? What? Well, and I remember saying, I hope so. I said, I have been told there is a way I can do it. And I said, I'm pretty sure I will. I said, I said, I have to. Yes, I'm going to say, yes, I will. I said, okay, well, I'll give you the money. And in 3 months' time, right? In 3 months' time, I paid the money back. I earned probably in within 6 months, I would have earned about 15,000 US on top of paying back the money. That was extra on top of my other work and other things I was doing. I was like, far out, this is incredible. Now, I'd locked into my goal without telling you, giving you another big long-winded story, but I locked into my goal. And a part of my journey has been that I wanted to get back here way before I started TIR. But because of the unfolding, right? When you lock into your worthy ideal, when you're lesson one, you know, and this is why it's so imperative, like moving forward, just make a decision, lock into what you want. You know, does it excite you? It's got to excite you, not excite your family, not excite your husband, not excite your wife. Does it excite you? Is it something you really want? If it is, you will. The likelihood is you'll stick to it. But you know the ABCs of goals. I won't go through that. But does it scare you a little? Like, do you look at it? And in actual fact, does it scare you a lot? But you don't have to go for scare a lot. Like, does it scare you a little? And you can build it. You can build it up. You can make it bigger. You can make it bigger as you go along. The only thing I advise to anyone is when you lock into whatever it is you decide you're going to go after, do not quit. You will not fail. You will not fail. You might go down some wrong roads. You might make some detours. You might go, holy shit, is this thing ever going to work? But I promise you, if you just stick to your commitment, and it's called, I was going to say perseverance. It is called being persistent. You got to be persistent and consistent, and you have got to stay committed. You know, I said to someone, oh, you got to make a committed decision. And they said, no, there's no such thing. You either make a decision or you don't. And it's kind of true. But why I keep saying make a committed decision is because a lot of people, and I was one of them, I would make a decision, but I would change my mind or I would quit. I would fail because I would quit. So I'm telling you, if you're moving forward with Liberty, if you're on the journey with Liberty, do not quit. Like, just say, I'm going to do it. I don't know how. Forget about the how. The how is what it slows us down. It's not to say you don't need to figure out a way to do it or figure a way to move forward. You do not want to know exactly how you're going to get there. Because if you do know how you can get there, it's probably a B-type goal. You haven't achieved it before, but I can probably work out the steps to get there. And if you're a planner, if you're a left brainer where you love to like figure everything out, like let me cross the I's and dot the T's, is that it? No, dot the I's and cross the T's. Then you probably want to know how to do it. In fact, one of my best mates, actually, I know I'm going on and on, but I just want to tell you, this is really cool. Two of my best friends, one here in Brisbane and one in Melbourne, both messaged me. I was starting another, because, you know, I do my client coaching and mastermind groups, and they both reached out to me. I didn't reach out to them at all. And they said, hey, I'd really love to know a bit more about what you're doing, or I'd really love to know a bit more about this particular group. Do you think it's something I could do with you? Because I'm really looking for something. And I was like, oh my God, I'm actually having an effect on people around me. I'm not selling anything to anyone. You know, and that's what happens, right? It would not have happened if I hadn't have kept making these steps. And it's all about momentum. And it's all about doing the work, doing the work, doing the work. You know, don't just think you've done it once and you've got it. It's repetition, it's repetition, it's repetition. You and I know how many times do we go through these lessons? Like sometimes, like, how many times do I have to listen to Bob say this? Well, you'll still get something new out of it. Why does Bob read? He's on the 60th year, like 21st of October, 60 years. In his 60th year of reading Think and Grow Rich, his Bible. It's surely becoming, I refer to it so much, it probably is becoming my Bible as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, and there's a reason for it. You know, there's so much gold in it, and a lot of the information is so simple. Okay, can I just take a little detour back to decision?
Yes.
Now, Jack Canfield, I was on his show last year talking about success. And during the show, right near the end, he said to me, because I know you've had a lot of success this past year, and 2019 was a brilliant year for me um, all up with it, so many different things that happen. And he said, with all the success you've had, what could you put it down to? He goes, I know it's a bit of a recipe, as you mentioned before, but what could you put it down to? One thing. And I said, it's a great question, and I've got an answer for you. I remember in about January or February of 2019, I made a decision with myself. I said, Brett, you need to stop being afraid of failing, and you need to start being afraid of not trying. And I thought, yeah, that's it. I don't. Do you guys have conversations like that in your head? Anyway, I said, you do. Sounds like we're going crazy, doesn't it? Anyway, I had this conversation with myself, and I said, that's a great idea. But I thought, well, how am I going to stick to that? Because it's a great idea, but how am I going to stick to it, especially when it's a really big decision? And I said, well, I know what I'm working towards. I know what my goal is. What if I ask myself this question? Does it have an ability to get me closer to my goal? Does it have an ability to get me closer to my goal? If I feel like overwhelmingly, like it's a yes, then I'll say yes. If I feel like my instinct is pulling me towards going forward, I'll say yes. However, if I'm stuck in confusion and that chatter, that monkey mind, that all those excuses start popping up, I'm not going to say, give me a couple of days. I'm going to say no. I'm going to make a decision. I'll tell you why. What reinforced that question was, I remember in Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill said, of the 500 of the most successful people that he interviewed in the early 1900s, the only thing, literally the only thing they could all agree upon is they all made very quick decisions and they changed their mind very slowly, if at all. And the opposite that he found, anyone that wasn't achieving the same success, they would take a long time to make up their mind. They would probably not even make a decision. And if they did, they would change their mind very frequently, all the time. And I remember when I read that, I remember thinking, yep, that's me. I'm the unsuccessful one, because I would do that all the time. And so that was part of the emphasis, not that I consciously thought about at the time, creating that question for myself, but I remember thinking, like doing a Steve Jobs, as I call it. Steve Jobs' quote is, you can't connect the dots moving forward, but you can connect them looking back. Mm-hmm. And so often I'm looking back. What did I do? How did I do that? You know, and it creates a bit of a pattern, and you can use that pattern to move forward. Follow the same pattern, and you know, and surely I'm going to get a similar result, maybe a better result, because I'm building momentum. Does that help?
Yeah, that is amazing. I think that gives us a great picture about how to bring order to the mind, because order is heaven's first law. You know, when we get order in our mind, a lot of things can come into alignment. And that's what I really love about being a Thinking Into Results consultant, is not having to, you know, market yourself and do the cold outreach that you, like you say, you're just impacting people's lives in such a way, in such a genuine, authentic way, that people are reaching out to you. And I'll be honest with you, that's been the way that I've attracted my clients. And that is the most humanly natural, good feeling way of being able to make an impact and further the ripple down the road. So thank you so much for bringing that decision. You know, it's so important to have decision and order in our mind. Can you tell us about some clients that you have helped?
Yeah.
You have some really interesting clients.
I should have. You've only met a few of them, but there are so many success stories that have come through my business. So I've had one of the guys that I had, his name's Samir Musa. He and his wife both worked with me, Lisa and Samir. And funny enough, with Samir, when we were trying to work out his C-type goal, he said, look, we had his shopping list. We had his shopping list, and he said, you know, these are the things. And he said, but he goes, I'm like, right now my mind's a bit clogged, because I've actually just been nominated for this Hollywood Music and Media Award, and it's in the next couple of months, so it's probably not a C-type goal. I said, do you know how to win it? And he said, no. And I said, well, to me, have you won that before? No. well, it's a C-type goal. May not be a long one, and we're going to have to reset, the goalpost again. We have to create another worthy ideal for you. But is that something you really want? And he said, he goes, that would be the biggest award I've ever won. He goes, that would be absolutely amazing. I said, well, that's it. Let's do it. Let's lock in. We're going to get laser focused. And when he tells the story, he's often explaining that for him, because he's such a creative, as you mentioned about having order, like, he's, like flowing over here and flowing over there and, making magic, making music, being really creative. So for him, actually getting really organized and getting a lot of order and not taking his eye off the prize and really getting into that meditative state of imagining that he's already won it. He's already walked down the aisle and picked up the award. He'd done it like, I don't know how many, probably hundreds of times in that 2 months. Like he did it every single day religiously. He loved meditating, so he would do it. And I remember a week out from the actual awards, he messaged me and said, hey, Brett, can we get on a call? Something really, really dreadful has happened. I'm laughing because of the dreadful thing. I'm just laughing because I remember thinking at the time when he told me, I was thinking, oh, here we go. This is the test, right? And it was a week out, and he said, this thing, like, I think I'm going to have to go back and get a job. I'm going to have to go and work, because he had made the decision to stop working so he could focus on the music and everything else. And he said, I'm going to have to go and get a job. This isn't working, and I don't know how it's going to be fixed. And he was so focused on his current reality. And I said, okay, number one, this will derail you if you get involved in what's going on right now. What do you want? Do you still want to win that? Or do you want to just fix the situation? What do you want? This is where we have to make decisions, right? And either way, whatever way he decided, would totally up to him. And he said, he goes, no, I don't want to focus on this current reality. I don't want to go back and do a mundane job just to pay the bills. I said, okay, well, I'm going to help you with both things, but we have to stay on track. Like, this is a test to see how committed are you to following through and actually walking down the aisle and collecting that award. And he said, I'm 1,000,000%. I said, good. Okay. So I gave him the steps, and by the end of that day, he messaged me and said, we've got away. We've fixed the situation. And he was back on track, right? And then the day of the award, I messaged him like an hour or two before the award were starting, and he said, I've just got here, and I said, can you message me or send me a photo of you with the trophy when you collect it? I knew, that deep knowing, I knew he was getting it. I knew it was done. And it was really strange actually for me to go through that feeling for someone else, that I was so connected and he was so connected. There was total congruency. Anyway, when the award happened, I was the first person he messaged. He rang me as well, and I think he was in tears and said, we did it. We did it. I said, no, you did it, because all I am is just a guide, just keeping you on track. But he did it. He did the work, and, and he deserved every piece. And since then, we locked into him actually being a top music producer in Hollywood, because he'd been getting all these inquiries, because that song was obviously the Hollywood Music and Media Award. And he made the decision, you know what, I'd love to actually produce music for more movies. And I said, you could be a top Hollywood music producer. Is that something you'd like to do? Yeah, that's it. So now that's what we're working towards. Who else we got? Well, Lisa really got locked in, and she actually was a hypnotist prior, and she's a registered nurse. And obviously with COVID, that was a difficult time. She had to go and do that work. But now she's using her knowledge of hypnosis and mindset, and she's created her own business, and that's blowing up, doing really well. Interesting. I think I told you, like, a lot of my clients that work with me, I seem to attract a lot of people who actually want to end up becoming mindset coaches, which is beautiful. Obviously means I'm teaching something good, or I'm passing on the gold from Bob. And who else have we got? We've got Jacqueline, we've got Jane. Okay, I'll give you, actually, here's a really good one, right? This is where age is no barrier. Now, Jane is 72. she's not listening, telling her age. She's 72 years of age, right? And she made a decision. She was a semi-retired pharmacist, and really, really beautiful woman, like beautiful heart. And I remember she reached out to me, not to talk about TIR or to talk about what I was doing. She reached out to me and said, hey, I've just joined this network marketing business, and I want to know if I can get you on a call with my upline. Something like that, like really, you know, I went, you know what, good on her for having a crack. And I can see that she has no idea what she's doing. And so I said to her, hey, would you be open? I'm not really interested in your network marketing business, but I would be interested in giving you some help, because my background is sales. And I said, would you like some help in maybe a better way to pitch yourself to new? Actually, no, before I even said that, I said, how well does that opening, how many people have said yes to that opening that you've given? She said, no, none. And I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I thought so. How about I said, and then I said, would you be open to me giving you some advice? And she said, oh, yes, please. So we got on a call and we were talking through, and I had her in tears, not on purpose. I had her in tears because I explained some of the process and explained some of the things, and it brought up a lot of emotion for her. And here she is, right? And I hope I'm not giving too much of her personal story away. I'm not telling you her last name. But she was in a position where she couldn't retire properly. That's why I said semi-retired. And that's why she was looking for a way to, how can I create something where I can earn more money? Because I can't retire. How sad is it, you know? She worked, 40, 50 years or however long it was in pharmacy, and she couldn't retire. She didn't have enough money to do it. So, but you know what? I was like, and you know this, like whether someone works with me or not, I don't care. If I can help them, I'll help them. Because even if that person's not going to be the right person to move forward with me, maybe someone else will come forward with me, because we don't know where it's going to come from, but you've got to give value before you expect to receive anything in return. Anyway, so I did that. And then I was in Toronto in Canada for consultant training with Bob. And we were doing a call out to anyone in our Facebook. Yeah, I don't know why I was looking around. In our Facebook saying, hey, I'm looking for 3 people. And she messaged me. She said, oh, do you think maybe I could be one of those people? I said, oh, sure. Let's get on a call. We got on another call, had her in tears again. Poor lady. And but it was really good. That's really cathartic. It's a great thing if you can have a release, as we know. And so she ended up making the decision, and she found the money to get started as well. It wasn't something easy for her to do. And since then, now she wanted, by the way, just a premise, she said, I'm going to do it, but I need this to happen in 21 days. I need this particular level. I need this level in 21 days. So look, if that's what you really want and you're locked in and you're doing the work, then it's possible. I can't guarantee anything, but I'll help you. Now, she didn't achieve it. And what happened? She was in tears again. So the point is, I'll give you a short-winded version of it, is that we've now worked together for maybe about 5 months. Yeah, maybe about 5 months. And she's restarted again. And she has achieved some levels that she never thought she would actually get to. And she is earning some money that she never thought she'd be able to earn. And regardless of that, the biggest thing for her was always worrying about whether someone is going to like what she's doing, whether her family are going to accept what she's doing. That's why she was in tears most of the time, because she was reacting to her environment. What she's been able to do through this material, through TIR, is learn how to let go of what her family thinks. In fact, she had to push some of her family to the side and say, I can't catch up with you for a bit because I need to focus. I need to focus, right? And she's been able to do it. Now she's like, not saying she's perfect. We are all perfect, by the way. Our spiritual DNA is perfect. You know that. But we're not perfect in this physical world where we're going to make mistakes. They're not failures. We're going to make mistakes and we're going to learn from them. And she's still doing it. but is she in a much better place? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She is smiling. She gets in, she does lives. She's
Ooh.
72. She gets on and does lives. She shares all this amazing stuff. Like, she is so engaged on social media that you'd be like, you probably struggle to do some lives. She goes, what do I need to do? I need to do that. Okay, I'm going to do that.
Nice.
She doesn't think about it. She just does it now, right? She used to think about it a lot. Like, before she would even do one live, she'd be like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. You know, but the point is, you don't have to do everything all at once.
Right.
You know, it's all about building momentum, you know, and getting started. Just start, do something small. Our friend Coach Omar Stinney has a saying, 1% better every day. Just be 1% better every day, because you build momentum, you build compound interest. So even over 365 days of being 1% better, it's not 365% better. It's probably 700, 1,000 times better, because you get all this compound interest, because you're building momentum. You're having quantum leaps. Anyway, I get excited.
That's the way to have that quantum leap, really, isn't it? It's just the compounding of what you're planting in the now, because the past doesn't matter and the future hasn't happened yet. And people get so worried about the how, like you said, and the how is the biggest problem. Like, if you allow the how to do anything, it's going to create a wall in between you and your goal. So I see that happening a lot. And that's one of my favorite things to do is when I get to connect with people, is help them detect that part of their mind that's like been a virus for them. That's, you know, the how creeps in and it's over, man. Then they start making decisions that take them further and further away from their goals.
It is a, like, I like, I don't know if it was Bob that said it, but someone said it, it's like a virus code. It's a virus code. If you keep saying, how am I going to do this? It's a virus code. It disrupts the whole circuit of you actually moving towards what you decide you're going to move towards. You know, it takes us out of alignment, takes us out of our jet stream that we can build up, and it's very easy to do. Like, it's very easy to get caught up, especially if you're reacting to your environment, you're reacting to your family. I did a live on this today, responding versus reacting, because it's so important. It's so important for people to learn this lesson, regardless of whether you're going on this journey with thinking into results, just in life in general. If you can get to a point where you stop reacting, you stop getting volatile. And I remember actually on that lesson, when I heard Bob talking about responding versus reacting, I remember thinking, oh yeah, I'm a really calm person. You know, I'm very relaxed, I'm chilled. That's probably not me. But then, you know, when we do the exercise, when we do the worksheets, the workbook, we get our pen and paper, make sure you're doing it. If you're not doing it, make sure you do it. When we actually put pen to paper, and because that's the point, right? What does it mean to you? And when I started to dig in, what does responding versus reacting mean to me? I went, oh my God, I react to everything. I was thinking about all these scenarios, because it says, like, where are you now? Like a GPS. Where are you now? Where do you want to go? Well, are you reacting to these things? Oh, yes, I am. Oh, God. And it's very, like, and this is part of it, right? We've got to get the awareness of what's going wrong. Sometimes we think, nothing's going wrong, nothing's going wrong, because it's not in our conscious awareness yet. We've got to bring some of these things up to the surface. And that's what thinking into results does. I had Chad Reynolds on as a special guest for one of my other groups today, another PGI consultant. He and I were roommates. We had a penthouse in Toronto last September, and he is such an amazing, like, product of the product. Like, he does the work. And this is a guy, right? And he won't mind me telling you this. Here's a guy who was a full-blown alcoholic, to the point where his doctor, he was in a wheelchair. That's how sick he was from alcoholism. His doctor said, if you keep this up, in, like, he goes, probably in 2 months' time, you're going to be dead. You know, and that wasn't his wake-up call, by the way. That was just I better do something about it. And he kind of did. And he said, you'd think I would have learned? No. But he did obviously eventually learn, and he's 12 years sober. And what he's done with thinking into results for him, and and now for his clients is just truly amazing. And like, I remember in our penthouse, we weren't partying, we weren't sitting there having cocktails every night. He would be doing the work, I would be doing the work. In the morning, we'd be up at 4:35 a.m. doing the work, doing our morning routine, writing out what we're grateful for, writing out a chapter from a particular book, sending out things to our accountability buddies, right? Doing the work. And I can tell you from experience, and I'm sure he was the same, I wasn't a very good student. I was a shit student, you know, but you become it. You don't have to become it all at once. You just have to get started. And that's what thinking into results really and truly, like it's actually, I'll tell you what Chad said today. He said he'd done so much personal development before he met Bob. And he said it's almost like a jigsaw puzzle where you don't have a lid. It's like doing all this personal development. It's like I got this jigsaw puzzle and I'm putting bits and pieces together just like by chance. And he said, and I met Bob and it was like someone gave me the lid for the jigsaw puzzle. Now I can see how to put this friggin' jigsaw together. And I agreed with him. I said, that's a great analogy. I hadn't thought of it like that. But Bob, for me, for 13 years before I actually went on this journey properly, for 13 years I'd followed Bob. And his information, I was always thinking, that's true, that's true, that's true. And, you know, knowing, doing, gap, lesson 2. I knew all this information. Was I applying it? No, I wasn't applying it. Why wasn't I applying it? Because I wasn't invested. You know, when people say to me, can you give me some tips? Can you give me help? I'm giving tips and help. I'll give you everything I've got for free. Will you apply it? Probably not. Will you get the results? Probably not. Yes. And it's because there's something, and it's, you know, and it must be a universal law. I haven't figured it out yet, but there is, I'm sure it's reciprocity or law of compensation. I'm not sure, but whatever you like, when you invest in something, it has value. And most of us will put, and I remember literally in my mind, seeing the nice white Maserati there. Ooh. I got distracted. I remember in my mind saying that when I made that big investment that obviously I didn't have the money for, I said, God damn it, I'm not going through this program like I do other programs in the past where I get excited at the start and I end up quitting. I need a return on my investment, not just the financial. I need to do the work. So whatever my coach and consultant tells me to do, I'm going to do. I made the commitment. Whatever she tells me to do, whatever Mariko says, Brett, you got to do this, I'm going to do it. Even if I think that sounds stupid. And Bob would say, you know, Bob says this, just do it until you can prove to me that it doesn't work.
Yes.
Just make that commitment.
I'm sure you tell your clients the same thing. I tell my clients the same thing too. I say, even if what I'm telling you to do sounds obnoxious, I'll never ask you to do anything that's not ethical, but I may ask you to do some things that don't make any logical sense. But listen, what you're doing doesn't make any logical sense either because it's not giving you results. So let's just try it a new way. And, you know, they're like, okay, let's do it. And I even had them like tapping on their heads to earn money, and it works. Have you tried tapping? Oh, Brett.
I haven't. Yeah.
I gotta send you the link to this lady. She shows the tapping technique, and it is amazing.
I know about it. My mum told me about EFT, but I haven't used it myself. So send it to me, and I'll implement it.
Yeah, it's
You're telling me I need to do it. I'll do it.
Yes, you're perfect. You're perfect unicorn colleague of mine.
Thank you. Yeah, I love unicorns. Hey, what was I going to say? Bob, there's so many good things that Bob said. I had something in my mind that you were prompting me about illogical. Oh, yeah, your way isn't working. I remember when Bob said when he met, he didn't meet, he was friends with a guy and he used to go to a bar, used to be sit on the same bar stool in the bar in Toronto, and this friend of his came up and said, you know, what are you up to? And he said, oh, not much, because I'm not feeling real well. And what's his name? Ray. Yeah, his name is Ray. And Ray said, it seems like it's a pretty common occurrence for you. Bob's like, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, you're always unwell. goes, have you got any money? No, I haven't got any money. Can you lend me some? and I'll tell the story the right way. So Ray said to him, you know what? You should read this book, Think and Grow Rich. And Bob said, why would I do that? And he said, well, you never have any money, do you? And he goes, well, no, not really. He said, because I'm saying that because you're always asking to borrow money off me and all our other friends. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's true. And he said, and you're always unwell. And he said, you ever seen me sick? This is Ray. And Bob's like, no, I've never seen you sick. And he said, yeah, I don't get sick. And he said, and he said, this book will help you to do what I'm doing, maybe even better. He said, and Bob said, well, the problem is I can't read. And Bob tells us, he said, well, it wasn't that I couldn't read, it's just that I hadn't really read anything. I had a third grade understanding of reading. And anyway, but the point was that he said, Ray said to him, look, your way's not working, try mine. And Bob, it's very simple. And this is the problem, I think, for most of us. We think it, like, to be wealthy or to have a better life or have a better job or have a better relationship, we think it's going to be difficult. We think it's going to be hard. By the way, what's the time? I've got 10 minutes to go. We think it's going to be hard, right? But it's not. It's actually really simple. All these things are really, really simple. We make them hard, right? And it's not to say they're easy, even though they're simple, then it may not be easy, because when you're going to do something you've never done before, of course it's going to be hard, but the process is very simple. And the reason why a lot of us don't do these simple things, it's we think, surely it can't be that simple. It is. I promise you it is. And we know from some of our, top elite consultants who produce millions of dollars. And I'll give you a really good example. I'm sure you've shared the example of this, but Kim Calvert in Ireland is I would have to say, probably a toss-up between Catherine Weishaupt in Germany and Kim Calvert. They're both diamond pin holders, the only two at the moment. Kathleen's coming up. But the point is, Kim Calvert was earning 35,000, I don't know if it was euro or pounds or whatever it was in Ireland, as a nurse. And she was very shy. She had no confidence. And that was maybe 4 years ago when she first went to the first consultant training. And she said, and actually Bob said, I would often be looking around to see where I see where Kim is. But she would be hiding behind people because she's short. She'd be hiding behind people so Bob wouldn't ask her a question because she's so freaking nervous, right? Now here, and this is where I'm telling you, all she did was do the work, did the simple work day after day after day, and she just got better and better and better, and now she's the best. She's the best. She just bought a beautiful blue Ferrari. She bought her dream home. She bought a dream home. She's paid for those in full. Doesn't owe anything. She's got heaps of cash in the bank. She has heaps and heaps of clients, right? And that's not for her to brag. That's just the way that she's designed her life. And she gets to live life by design. She gets to live. I think she loves to travel like Catherine loves to stay in hotels and just travel around and teach her clients and get new clients and teach, us how to actually be better at what we do. And the point is, why I mentioned her, I love that example because I don't care where you're coming from. We mentioned Chad as well, who was a full-blown alcoholic, and now he's doing extremely well. And yeah, the point is, it doesn't matter where you are right now. It doesn't matter whether you think, geez, how long is this going to take me? Just make the commitment that this is what you want. It's not about what does Liberty want you to do. No, Liberty doesn't care what you do. Liberty, well, actually you do. You care that they're doing what they want to do. What do you really want? That's what Bob says to us. What do you really want?
That's so
anyway.
true. That's so true. Yeah. So I know you got to get running, but thank you
I
so
do.
much for being here. And I know we had a little mix up with the time because you're on the other side of the globe. So
I
thank you
am.
again for taking the time out of your day to be here and to really edify what it is that we do and who we serve, how we really truly help people. And that's our deep commitment to ourselves, is to follow that voice. You know, your voice was telling you that you're going to be successful this time. And my voice is telling me that I'm here to help people on a deep level. So we have to follow the calling that we were given. So, you know, to anybody listening, what is the calling that you're given? Brett and I are holding space for you and believing in you that you can achieve whatever it is that you want. And sometimes it's just that one decision. Are you going to stay in the cycle that you're in and doing the things that are not working? Or are you ready to be guided and shown the lid to the jigsaw? Yeah.
Exactly. Like we've got the lid. You just have to take our hand. You know, take Liberty's hand. She's reaching out to you and said, this is the thing, I'm sure you do the same thing. I don't offer to take everyone through thinking into
Oh,
results.
yeah.
Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it if they make the commitment. But I don't take everyone through it. And why I say that, it's not that I just go, I don't like you, I'm not taking you through it. I'm sure you don't either. But it's like, I only take people who are saying to me, I need this. I want this and I need this. I'm frustrated with my life, or I'm frustrated not getting the results I want. Like, if that's you, and Liberty says, here's my hand, take my hand and let's go. I'll show you how. I'll show you the how. But I don't want you thinking about the how, but I'm going to show you how, because I've got the lid for the jigsaw puzzle.
Right.
You know, and that's the beautiful part, right, for us. Doesn't take us, it's not like, doesn't mean we don't do any work. It's just that Bob does so much of the work for us. Bob does so much of the work for you as the client. I was a client before I became a coach, but I had to make a decision. You know what? I've been able to change my life. Now I have to give back. I've got to be in service now. You know, I've been given a gift, so I have to pass that gift on. I've got to pay it forward. And that might happen for you guys. You might have to pay it forward. That'll be your decision. But yeah, first steps first. Liberty's reaching out to you and says, you know what, I would like to offer you to come into my program. Do it. If you're in the program, do what she says. And I'm not telling you that just because of authority. I'm telling you, if you do the work and if you're stuck or if you're having trouble, ask for help. Don't try and figure it out yourself. That's what I always did. I was always like, oh yeah, I'll figure it out. I've got enough knowledge in my mind. I'll be able to figure it out. I never figured it out. Let me tell you, you know, I was my worst enemy, and most of us are our worst enemy. We're the ones that are limiting ourselves. Don't limit yourself. You've employed a coach, or you're going to employ a coach. Do what the coach tells you to do, and you watch the results come through. I remember, and actually that's why I did this live today on responding versus reacting, because I remember even when I made the decision thinking, have I made the right decision? Could I have gone with someone else? Maybe this isn't the right road. You know, like all those things come into your mind because you don't know what's on the other side. That's why you got to have a bit of faith. You got to trust. You go with your gut instinct. Whatever your first instinct is, go with that, because you're going to get excuse after excuse coming into your mind of why it's not going to work, because you don't have a program that shows you how to make it work. That's why we're going to let go of the how. That is it from me. Thank you so much, Liberty.
Thank you.
Love you heaps. Say hello to Alex for me.
I will, yes.
Yeah.
Have a
I'll see you
lovely day.
soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, gorgeous.
Bye.
Bye.